Hello and welcome. I'm Paul.
I'm Martin.
How are you, mate?
Very good.
Good.
Good Christmas?
Yeah, good actually. Yeah, I managed to escape the whole COVID thing, so it's all pretty good.
Any weight put on?
Not sure. Not sure really. What about you?
That's a standard question, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm back on the bike, so
Oh, you are?
yeah, back on the Zwift.
Oh, nice.
Serious training. So we'll see how we get on. Right, hey, so listen, today's topic.
Yes.
You threw this one at me yesterday.
Yeah.
What is it?
This is talking about goalkeeper training. So what actually is goalkeeper training?
Okay.
I'm going to ask you what goalkeeper training is.
Well, I suppose in my world, you know, kind of dad,
Yeah.
goalkeeper, not really. I guess the perception is it's a guy with some punters kicking and chucking a ball at them, possibly shouting at them, and
Standard shouting, yeah.
yeah, and making them possibly sweat their balls off and go, "Hey, great session, guys, brilliant." Am I?
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. Perfect.
It's easy.
So we can move on to the next now, can't we?
What's the next topic then?
Yeah, listen, goalkeeper training, obviously, it's. I'll be honest, the first time I see a goalkeeper session was on a video of Peter Shilton. It's unbelievable. I hadn't even thought about this, just thought about it now. Peter Shilton in a car park. It was like indoor car park. It was concrete. Just throwing the ball against the wall and catching it.
I mean, maybe that's the starting point then.
Yes.
Goalkeeper training.
Yeah.
When did it come in? I mean, I'm guessing in the 60s they weren't goalkeeper coaches.
No.
70s,
I couldn't imagine
80s.
there was.
I don't know when.
My first one I heard of was Bob Wilson.
Okay.
Who was outstanding.
So that's what,
who
late
knew-
70s.
Yeah. Who knew exactly what he was doing. You know,
He was playing then. Did he have a coach, or did he? Was the
I
onus
don't know
to
if he evolved into it.
Did you coach
but
yourself? I mean, was that the point? You trained yourself.
Yeah. I can imagine there's, with a small cigarette in their mouth and the old, kicking the ball. And
Beautiful.
Cap,
the
cigarette,
traditional, leaning against the post. Perfect.
But no, Bob Wilson was the very first one that I, sort of learnt about and sort of knew that he was the one for me that kick-started it. And I'm sure, and apologies to anyone out there that has previously been there before Bob, but he was the first one I heard of. And but the first actual physical sort of training session, if you like, was Peter Shilton in a car park. So just need to find your local car park. You need to sweat and you need to shout a lot.
But who was training him? Was that a self-help?
It
kind
was
of
a self.
approach in those
Yeah,
days?
it was kind
or
of.
Or was it pull another player at the club and say, "Come and join me in the car park and fire some balls at me"? I mean, what's the?
I mean, I think we're coaching that. I think there's always been people that have served balls at. There's obviously been people that have served balls at goalies, but the point of actually stopping and going, right, what are we actually doing here? And let's look into detail. And let's look at our feet and where we plant them and where do our hands go and and that's just evolved. Like if you think 20, 30 years ago, I can think of one name, and apologies, there's going to be loads more, but I can only think of one.
Yeah.
Now
please feel free to add your comments.
Yeah.
On the YouTube video.
Yeah. But no, for me now, for me, goalkeeper training is seen in two or three different ways. And one way is, like you said, the shouting and screaming and the sweating. As long as they're sweating, the coach must be good. And I've heard that from every level, from every level up and down, which still surprises me to today. But
have you seen that in pro clubs? I mean, have you seen?
I've seen that in Premier League clubs, Championship clubs, League One clubs, League Two clubs. I've seen it at every level. That if they're sweating, the coach must be good, and the goalies must be improving. Yeah. And it's like it's come so far from that.
Yeah.
And for me now, goalkeeper training or goalkeeper coaching it's about educating the goalie, and it's about painting pictures in front of them that they're going to actually get in the match, rather than doing wild things that you'll never ever see. I mean, I've seen a session where the guy's hanging upside down from a crossbar, catching a ball upside down. And
So that's it. I mean, so a couple of things. So okay, let's modern day, because that reminds me of you look at YouTube
yeah,
training, and a lot of it is exactly that. It's it's jumping 3 hurdles, rolling around, doing a save, jumping back, whatever, and hanging from the crossbar.
yeah.
So which is clearly not real world situation.
Yeah.
So how do you what's the and there's lots of coaches, I guess,
Yeah.
doing that in sessions.
It's got to be fun, right?
Sure.
So no matter what you do, and I'm learning this, the older I'm getting, no matter what I do, it's got to be fun.
Yeah.
So I get there's got to be a fun factor to it. But at the same point, there's got to be an element of realism to it. And it's got to be realistic, because otherwise, what's the point in doing it? So for coaches out there that are, whether they're just starting out or there might be the dad that's trying to help out, just think about what actually happens in the game and just try and reenact that a little bit. So things like you see lots of people, goalkeepers that are on a post and they, someone shouts turn, they turn into the middle of the goal and they make a save. Is it realistic? Yeah, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is it realistic doing it 148 times in 30 seconds? For me, it's not. And that doesn't make me right. It doesn't make me wrong. But for me, I don't see that as realistic. Doing a couple off the post, yeah, I think that works. But it's got to be a progression throughout that session. And again, it's just got to relate. It's got to relate to the game without a doubt. So
is that my key criteria? I'm going to take my 15-year-old
yeah,
next week to some goalkeeping coaching.
yeah,
He doesn't know what the expectations are. I don't know. But what you're saying is the experience he should be getting. If I try and relate it and look at what he's doing and say, okay, yeah, I can see that applying in a game, that's a good training session.
yeah.
If I see him jumping over 15 hurdles, running backwards and forwards, sweating, whatever, that's not great.
There's a real fine balance. So normally a training session is an hour long. So if the goalkeeper coach, you get there, starts with 10 minutes of, they're jumping over hurdles and stuff, great. I'm all for that. But if you've only got an hour, I'd like to think the next 45, 50 minutes, the session's going to evolve into something that, if he's doing hurdles to start with, it may then be he goes into some light handling after that, and then goes into maybe some diving saves and top corner saves. So it started with the point of trying to work on his spring and all that sort of stuff, to then evolve into, why are we working on spring? That's towards the end of the session. That's why we're working on spring, because it's going to help me get to the top corner, the top corner balls. So as long as the session evolves, there's no problem for me doing, hurdle work and, medicine ball work that still exists and doing that sort of stuff. But it's got to progress for the goalkeeper to see, why am I doing this? There's got to be a reason to it, rather than just, well, I've seen them do it on YouTube, so we're going to do it.
I mean, is it the terminology? Because if you said goalkeeper training session,
Yeah.
goalkeeper coaching session,
Yeah.
in my mind, and we've talked about this on previous podcasts, back in the day I was a tennis coach.
Yeah.
So a tennis training session for me would be doing the drills and doing the shuttles and doing all those things, not necessarily technique. Whereas a coaching session in my mind is, okay, let's work today on whatever, footwork, block saves, whatever it is. I mean, is that the difference? Do you plan your sessions in that way, or actually are you saying, no, actually, one session can of course be all of those elements?
I think it can. Yeah, I think it can be all of them. I think the best way to plan out a session is to start with the goalkeeper training, and then evolve into the goalkeeper coaching. So the coaching is going to actually start bringing out more the tactical side of the game. If I know 100 goalies, if I know 100 goalkeeper coaches or goalkeeper trainers, I reckon 5 of them are proper goalkeeper coaches. The ones that can really get the detail out.
Yeah.
The ones that can paint pictures for the goalies where you go, right, there's 4 goalies, what are you going to do? They're not queuing up. They're not all queuing up waiting for their turn. You know, one's on the angle and then he's going to throw in a little 1v1 and then he's going to put a 2v1, so the goalie's now got to think, well, if goalie number 1's got the ball and he's running at me, what's the other guy going to do? You know, I need to be aware of that. And it's all things that, again, the session evolves. It's not it's 3, 4, 5 dimensional. It's not just, someone kicking a ball at you. So
I suppose that a lot of that is preparation, is session planning. I mean, my guess is there are a lot of coaches that don't even have session plans. I'm not talking necessarily. I mean, maybe even have it at the top of the game.
Yeah.
I wake up this morning, I've got the coaches today. I've got the keepers today for an hour. What am I going to do with them? I don't know. I'll make it up as I go along in the car, as opposed to, the coach that's completely planned the session. I mean, what do you do? Do you have an aim? Do you have a goal for every session? What's your process of putting sessions together?
Well, the first job I took, first full-time professional job I took as a coach was at Wycombe. Was at Tottenham.
Right.
And I was doing the under-18s, and then got a chance to work 23s, and then got a chance to go to Wycombe and do the first team. And I was literally writing absolutely everything down. So on minute 28, and the 34 seconds, I'm going to say, well done, or I'm going to put a cone down, or like literally to the second, not even to the minute, I'm writing everything down. And then as time's going on, you get a little bit more confident, you get a bit more experience with it and more knowledgeable. I started writing just like small points down, I know you say like the news, the reporters, they're not writing every word down, are they? They're just writing little symbols. And you're like, how are you understanding everything? You're not going to remember all that. Yeah, they know what they're doing.
That's called shorthand, mate.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's why I'm a goalie coach.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But with that, and now with moving on to the next jobs that I was taking, I was just writing a topic down that I'm going to do. I'm not writing too much because I want to try and get the session evolving.
Yeah.
Rather than we're going to do this, and then the gaffer's going to want them. No, we're going to work on 1v1s. Or we're going to work on 2v1s. I know in my head roughly where I'm going with it, but I want the session to evolve and I want to engage the goalies where they go, do you want to laugh something? Yeah. What happens if this happens? Perfect. Let's set it up. Let's see. You come up with the idea of what you think and then we'll share it. But that allows it. But if you're just turning off posts and catching footballs, them conversations will never occur.
Yeah.
Because it's one dimensional. It's just straight on all the time.
So I'm intrigued, actually, and I'm sure this differs at different clubs. You've got a manager, a gaffer, who is a certain individual who is going to drop in on a goalkeeping coaching session, training session, whatever you want to call it. And his perception, his perception is, if they work, you said it, they're working their nuts off. Blimey, Martin's a brilliant goalkeeping coach and my keepers are getting better. I mean, how do you manage that situation? Because I'm sure that happens. What's the perception of a manager, or what's the perception of an outfield player for a session? If they're looking at a goalkeeping session.
Well, first of all, for years you've had the players come over and go, I'd love to be a goalie. It's so easy.
Yeah.
You dive around, you get muddy. You all take the mick at each other. You've got a great bond. It's like you're all best mans at each other's weddings. Like, you all get on so well. So theirs is flying around like an idiot for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But with the managers, you can't. I think there's a lot of goalie coaches that have to play the game a little bit. So it may mean when the manager comes over at the start, they may be doing a little bit of grafting work. But then when he goes off, he goes, right, let's just chill a little bit.
Take
now.
a breather, boys.
Yeah.
Don't worry, he's gone away.
He's gone. Now let's go into a little bit of more, a little bit stuff that's a little bit slower, but that's going to educate us. Something you've got to think about rather than just turning and catching a ball. But yeah, I've seen. I always remember at Fulham, Alan Kirbishley used to come over when he was obviously at Fulham.
Yeah.
He used to come over while the players were warming up. He always used to come over and watch the goalies when we were working, because he just for some reason he loved spending 5-10 minutes because everything was upbeat and we were working hard, but there was an aim of working hard, having fun, and educating. And he and the boys actually loved him coming over because he started to get involved in a little bit of the banter as well in our warm-ups. So you got managers like that, and then you've got the real sort of working with someone like Felix Magath, at Fulham. If anyone smiles, we could be struggling here, and that's the way he worked it. So you respected that. So there was no fun at the beginning. It was just get your head down, do your bit. So yes, I think you do have to slightly adjust, but the older you get, you sort of have that attitude of a bit more, no, this is what I do and this is what I believe. And, if you don't like it, not do one, but if you don't like it, maybe you have to review what coaching staff you got. Because I believe in coaching and not just training.
And I guess in the same vein, and again, this is me in layman's terms, but as an outfield player, I'm playing whoever. I'm playing Man U this weekend, and therefore my guess is some of the sessions the previous week are going to be related to the game that follows. Does any of that come into play in the goalkeeping coaching training sessions? In mind as to, we're going to play X, the striker's going to do Y, or actually are the sessions more pre-planned, this is what I'm going to do this week, irrelevant of who I'm playing? How does that, does it come into play or not?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I think Thursday, Fridays, when you're playing on a Saturday, the Thursday and the Friday really starts to get to more the tactical side of, what they're going to do. So, for example, if you're playing a Stoke, when Rory Delap was there, you know what's coming. Anything within your half, that ball's been thrown in the box. So what would you work on? You'd work on a lot more crossing, without a doubt. If you've got, wingers on the opposite sides, so if you've got a left-footed winger on the right side, you're gonna, even if it's only you, the mannequin, and your goalie that you've got at the time, you may stick a mannequin in, cut inside on the pitch and have a left foot shot for the goalie in a training session. So. Wycombe, Akinfenwa, you might need 4 players doing a crossing session. One ain't going to be enough because he's like having 4 players around you, isn't he? So you might put 4 players around you and start delivering balls in the box so that the goalie can get used to it. But 100% is that the tactical side would come in at that level.
So that's the end of the week for the following game.
Yeah.
What about the opposite? So the post Saturday, the Monday session, let's call it, or the Tuesday session, whenever it is, post game, depending on when you're playing. How much of a review during that coaching session is, fixing errors, mistakes that the keeper may have done in the game, or is that not really? Is that a negative to sort of reinforce? So, by the way, let's work on X because you were diabolical on Saturday.
There's a real debate in the goalkeeping world with this. So on the Saturday, goalie comes, completely misjudges the ball. Yeah. Centre forward's behind him, heads it in the goal. What do? You look through the video, you go through it, you analyse it. What's the first session you do Monday? Now, probably 50% are saying, we're crossing. We're going to do loads of crossing. The other 50% are going, we're not doing any crossing. So it's kind of like, are we going to highlight it, make the obvious even more obvious?
Yeah, exactly.
And now show...
Really dent their confidence.
Exactly. Show that as a coaching staff, you've decided the best thing to do today is work on what's gone wrong at the weekend, or mistakes are going to happen. Keep a nice consistent base, and just keep working on what you would have worked on anyway. I'm not a massive lover on highlighting something, especially at the high level. You're going to make mistakes at some point. It's part of the game, it's part of life. What's the point in highlighting it? If it keeps happening, then for me it needs to be massively addressed because there's obviously a problem there. But if it keeps happening, there's probably a reason why the goalie is probably going down the leagues and not up the leagues. So there's a common occurrence with a certain pattern of.
I get the challenge there, because the other aspect, your role as a coach, is to identify the weaknesses within the keepers in your squad, and B, I guess, is to improve on those weaknesses so that they become better keepers.
Yeah.
How do you manage that when you've got a squad of 3 or 4 keepers that you're training, that you're coaching, when they're all going to have different weaknesses. I mean, is that just naturally because as you run through the sessions, you're naturally going to work on it, or because again, I guess that's a challenge.
It's planning again, isn't it? It all comes down to planning. So Sunday afternoon, while you're having your roast dinner, the minute you've finished and you're bloated, you're going to need to go off on your own and you need to work out what the week looks like. And for me, that's the way you solve it. So if someone needs to work on their kicking and someone needs to work on their crossing, you get one of the goalies crossing it in, who then maybe feeds the guy that needs to cross. You just you manage it.
You find a way to mix the strengths with the weaknesses.
And one big thing I found especially being at Wycombe, was we had all the goalies out on loan. So on a Monday morning, I had 4 games to look through.
Wow.
So your under 18 game,
yeah,
three boys on loan, and then the first team goalie. So there was like 4 or 5 games going on at once for me. So what we did was we put everyone in the room together and we reviewed every match together as a goalie group. Because it's like, I know you've not played in that game, but you're definitely going to learn something from watching, maybe getting some of my feedback, but just as important, getting the goalie's feedback that played in that game. And that was really, really, really powerful. Yeah. Like, really powerful. Yeah. So that's something I would definitely encourage. You know, as long as the goalies are content with that. If they're not content, then some are a little bit edgy with it. But for me, goalkeeper training is purely about planning out, making sure you're doing stuff that actually happens in the game, and not riding a bicycle.
Okay. Well, I think we've sort of answered that one, haven't we?
Yeah, it's very up in the air, isn't it? It's an open debate for people.
But I think that's a great point. If that's the nugget to take away.
Yeah.
It needs to be real world. Is the point. As much as it can, because that's how you're going to benefit most.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for listening.